Okay, so, done with movie review number 1, now it's time for review movie number 2. What's up YouTube, Dreamkiller coming at you with another video, and this time we're going to be talking about the latest Yu-Gi-Oh movie to come out in God knows how long, and that is Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dark Side of Dimensions. And this was an interesting thing, because first of all, I didn't even know this movie was being advertised until I saw advertisements for it on Facebook, of all things. And then I heard my friend wanted to go see it, and it was playing in my theater, so we decided, I took 3 of my friends with me, and we had a great time. But, the thing that bothers me about these types of movie events for anime is that, they don't do anything to advertise that these movies are happening, and, they're limited runs. Like, this Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie is only for a week. And you can be damn sure, unless people are hardcore fans or know about this shit is happening, there's a majority of people who don't know this movie is actually in the theater right now. And that's sad. I am really tired of these events not getting proper advertisement, because these films are worth our attention in North America. They really are, but I just don't know what it is. But, many rant aside, I enjoyed this film a whole lot. This film is pretty much what happens years after the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Show came out. The original, with Yugi Muto, not fucking 5Ds or Zexal or whatever the hell they're doing with the current Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, because I fucking lost interest a long time ago with Yu-Gi-Oh! Especially with the card game. I mean, now I'm starting to get re-interested in the card games, but at one point I just said, fuck it, I don't care about Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. But I was super excited for this film because, the last Yu-Gi-Oh! Film to come out, Yu-Gi-Oh! The first movie, was playing when I lived in Florida. Was playing in the theater for one day only, and unfortunately I didn't get to see it because there was a hurricane that came around when the movie came out, so I was unable to see it. But years later I saw it on TV one time and thought it was a decent film, but it was way too short. So this movie is the polar opposite. It's a very lengthy film. I think it was close probably to 2 hours, which I was not expecting. I was expecting maybe for it to be an hour and a half. And I will say that its biggest flaw is it starts off very good in the beginning, but as the film kind of drags on. It kind of bogs down with exposition and a lot of stuff that is kind of unnecessary at times, but overall it was still a good film. So like I said, this takes like years after the original Yu-Gi-Oh! All the original cast is here. You got Yugi, you got Taya, Joey, Tristan, everyone in Kaiba, and Bakura. Everyone's here. Everyone's going to be graduating high school, which is kind of hilarious when you think about it, because if you paid attention to the show, school was the least of their worries, because call me on my bullshit, because I watched the show and I barely ever saw them in school, so how the fuck are they graduating is beyond me. But yeah, they're graduating, they're thinking of their lives beyond high school. Meanwhile, we got our villain, whose name is so fucking ridiculous. His name is Diva. I mean, he has a fucking alias name he has, which I can't remember, but his real name is Diva. That's such a stupid name for a villain. I mean, takes the list of worst villain names I've ever heard. So we got Diva. He's I want to say leader of this group of people who represent the power of Plana, which the power of Plana comes around when the Pharaoh returns to the spirit realm and the planet resurrects its power. And as we all know, at the end of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Show, that the Pharaoh's gone, his spirit's been taken away to the spirit realm, he's no longer among this world. So that brings up these guys who want to cleanse the earth of evil and hatred and all this stuff. But the villain is kind of strayed from the path of what the Plana really wants to do, and he really is driven by hatred because his master was killed by someone who used one of the Millennium items to kill his master, and he's driven by hate and anger. It kind of twists him into what he thinks his goal is for how the Plana should cleanse the earth and all that stuff. And Meanwhile, that's supposed to be the main plot, but we also got a subplot where Seto Kaiba is very driven to get all the pieces of the Millennium Puzzle that were sent buried in the tomb back in Egypt. He brings all the pieces back together and tries to bring the Millennium Puzzle back together because he wants to challenge the Pharaoh again. He wants to prove once and for all that he can beat the Pharaoh. Not Yugi, because he's under belief that it wasn't Yugi that fucking beat him into all those duels that he's ever had with him. It's the Pharaoh, because granted, it kind of is the Pharaoh that helped Yugi out for all those years of him dueling and all that. So it was all the Pharaoh. So he's trying to prove once and for all that he can beat the Pharaoh, so he can finally live with the fact that he's been defeated all these times. And you know, it leads to the fact, you know, Kaiba has invented a new duel disc, a new dueling system, and he throws this tournament to get the final pieces of the puzzle that he's missing, where Yugi and the villain meet up and have one duel, and then Kaiba and Yugi have their duel to get the pieces back, and Yugi proves once and for all that, you know, the Pharaoh is no longer in the Millennium Puzzle. He's gone. But that then also leads back to the plot where we have the villain. He's been possessed by the Millennium Ring, which was the Millennium Idol that destroyed his master. And we also find out that his master was Shami, who was a kind of like a mentor to Yugi in the show, which kind of confused me because I'm wondering how did Yami. He has possession of the Millennium Key, but he's also the one who came up with the plan and all that. So how he factors in all this kind of confusing, and unfortunately the movie doesn't address that. There's a lot of things that the movie does not address, and it also kind of retcons a lot of things that the show established, and we'll get to that later. But yeah, the villain comes back in his monstrous form because he's being possessed by the Millennium Ring, and they have one final duel to save the Earth and all that, and in the final attempt, you know, the Pharaoh actually does come back. Doesn't say jack shit, just, you know, plays a few cards, defeats the enemy, and that's it. It was kind of anticlimactic, but you know, it was good. But again, the Pharaoh doesn't say anything, even when, you know, Yugi and the Pharaoh meet for the first time in what seems like years. They just look at each other and they're like, "Sup?" And that's it. That's literally it. But at the very end, Kaiba invents a way to go into different dimensions, and he actually goes back into a dimension where he can go back to, Egypt and face the Pharaoh once and for all. And so yeah, that's the end of the movie, and it's kind of anticlimactic in the end. But, you know, it was a good movie overall. Now let's get into the things that kind of retcon the story of the show. The whole story with Bakura and the Millennium Ring is kind of twisted around. Instead of his father finding the Millennium Ring at a shop and just giving it to the son, he's actually possessed to obtain the Millennium Ring by any means, and it's kind of, you know, like I said, it retcons the whole idea of that, and really that's the whole thing. And also, again, going to Shami, I don't really understand how his purpose in the show was, and how it factors in with how he is portrayed in the movie. That's the only two things that retcon the show a little bit and kind of confused me a little bit. If anyone's willing to explain those things, I'm more than willing to listen. But overall, I enjoyed the film. Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans will enjoy this film. Like I said, this film is going to be around until February 4th, so you have that long to see the film. But it really depends on which theater you go to, because I've only, like, me and my friends went to this one theater, the only theater that was actually playing this movie. So good luck. If you can find a theater that's playing the movie, by all means, look it up Fandango. I'm sure you can find which theater is playing what. And again, that goes back to my whole argument that it's really sad that this film is not being advertised properly, that any anime film that's considered a special event is not being portrayed and advertised well. And, you know, it is what it is. But overall, this film is good. I highly recommend it to Yu-Gi-Oh! Film fans. Any newcomers, I think, will also enjoy it. It's a really, really good film. So that's it. That's my review. Go see the movie if you're able to. So that's it. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button because my channel grows because of it. And subscribe because, as always, I have many more videos to come. I'm Dream Killer. Gamers keep on gaming. And Yu-Gi-Oh fans keep on rocking.